Ladies and gents, my next guest played in both the OHL and the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and once he had his footing, eventually was a 50-goal scorer with the Cape Breton Screaming Eagles. After a 5-year stint with St. Mary's University, which was littered with personal accolades and team success, he flirted with professional hockey for a couple of seasons, including a 33-point campaign for Wheeling of the East Coast Hockey League. After that, he'd enter the stunt world of film and television while playing senior hockey in Newfoundland and Ontario. I first met him on the ice in the Newfoundland Senior Hockey League when he played for the legendary Grand Falls Cataracts, and he still plays senior hockey in Ontario and won the Allen Cup just last season with Stony Creek?
Dundas.
With Dundas, Real McCoys. Right now we're together in Shoresy, where he's the stunt coordinator, and we have fun on and off the ice. He is a slick sniper, a hell of a hockey player, a dandy dangler, a super stuntman, an awesome actor. Didn't you know he played in the O? Rare thing, it's true. He also played in the Q. He's got big balls and played in Grand Falls. He knows what's up and won an Allen Cup. He likes to pick cherries and played at St. Mary's. Folks, Patrick Laine is healing, and this guy played in Wheeling. I first saw an elephant when I went to the circus. Please welcome to the show my pal Cam Fergus. Cam, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Terry. Love the intros. Appreciate that. Make me feel good about myself.
No problem. Well, it's all true, and I can barely read my own writing. But as I do read the writing, and one of the first things I said is that you played in the OHL and the Quebec Major Junior League. Can you explain how and why?
Yeah, that was an interesting start to my junior career. I did pretty well in my minor Bantam major Pee-wee seasons. I think that's kind of where, I don't know what it was, but I kind of started to separate myself from my teammates and, had some successful years. I played junior B in my draft year. So that was pretty tough playing with old guys. I think I was 15, playing with 20-year-olds. So that was a big adjustment.
Was that in Paris, Ontario, your hometown?
It was actually for the Cambridge Winterhawks.
Okay, I know that team well. Todd Harvey played there. I nearly played there, if you can believe it. Keep going.
Yeah, it was a good experience, but it was kind of my first intro into the business side of hockey and the way things worked that way.
I see.
Yeah, it was good. Coach was tough. In minor hockey, I had some success and didn't face a ton of adversity growing up, fortunately, but also unfortunately. So when I started playing with the guys, and especially in Kitchener, that was the first time I'd faced real adversity, and it was mentally, it was very draining. And I had a few injuries in that first year, and it was just one of those years that I don't think I was quite mentally in a place to manage all the stressors that come with playing in the OHL.
I always say that it's such a weird thing too, because you're young, you're going through normal adolescent stuff. You got to figure out school, hockey, even though it's a big goal and everything for us, it still really comes second or third. You usually your family, your schooling, at least it should, but you also know that there's a future in it, and these are major years. I can't really take a few years off and just come into it as a 20-year-old with no experience. Before we get any further, though, Tom Fergus, is he related to you, a legendary Leaf, an NHLer?
He is, yeah. He's my dad's brother.
Okay, so close relations. So was he a big influence growing up? I mean, who would have been your big hockey influences?
Yeah, so early on, like my dad for sure. I have a memory as a kid. I might have been 4 or 5 years old. My uncle was playing for Vancouver at the time. We went down to the game at Maple Leaf Gardens, and I got to go down in the dressing room, and I remember Pavel Bure coming up, and he was my favorite player. And he had 2 sticks in his hand. One was my uncle's and one was his, and he offered them to me to pick one, and I picked Pavel's unknowingly. It just had a better curve. So yeah, definitely early on, but as I grew up, I think I was around 6, my parents divorced. And that was tough I have 2 older sisters. That was very tough on all of us. The families kind of went their separate ways. And there was a period where my dad's side of the family wasn't in my life. Unfortunately, for a lot of different reasons. Fortunately, in my adult life, we've been able to rekindle, and it's been great getting to know that side of the family again over the last, say, 10 years. But yeah, it was difficult as a child with the divorce, and I was always able to escape it playing hockey. getting out there on the ice, didn't have to think about the stuff going on behind the scenes, and you could just have fun. But yeah, that was a tough one, and kind of left a bit of an emptiness in my childhood for sure.
That's funny. Even though I didn't go through that, my parents splitting, but I did go through a bit of an emptiness leaving home. I was 14, 15, playing junior hockey in BC with all kinds of other issues on the side. And I remember thinking funny, like I would get onto the ice and all of that would be flushed out, like you just mentioned. Yet hockey was my ticket. So here I was on the ice with the thing that should make me the most stressed. Like if I don't, if I don't put pucks in the net, if I don't go out there and play well from a scout's point of view, then I probably won't get any further in the sport. Yet, it usually was the least part of my thinking process. It was usually go out there and it came natural, and everything else off the ice would kind of, at times, be a little bit too much to handle. I thought that was wild. Now, on top of all that, then, you go over and play in the Quebec League. So you were struggling in the O.
Yeah, my first year was tough in the O. I was injured. I broke a rib during the exhibition games, and it was right kind of low by my spine. And it was a long time coming back from that. And especially in your first year, like kind of everybody else had a head start, and I was a little bit behind the game going into it. So then kind of got over that, started playing again. And then I think I missed another 3 weeks with pneumonia that season. So it was a very tough start. By playoffs, I was starting to feel like I was meant to be there. But that whole season was both difficult mentally and physically. There was a period in that year where it's like for a month I was playing on the fourth line, as you do as a rookie, and I think a couple of our players had gone to World Juniors and they played. I didn't get any shifts 5-on-5, but they were using me on the point on the power play. I mean, it's obviously a good opportunity, but to go out on the ice after sitting there for 20 minutes, not touching a puck, and then, you're playing the point, which is different for me. I'm always a forward. So yeah, I mean, I got the opportunity, but it was just such a difficult, especially with that, it was just hard to be comfortable out there. So yeah, that was definitely a tough year. I learned a lot. I also, part of it was too, like my family, I didn't have an agent. So my family my grandfather especially was a businessman and wanted to take care of me. I think, a lesson for a lot of people now is separate yourself. I mean, agents can be good, can be bad, but when teams and it's a business and you're dealing with family, emotions get involved. And so at that point, the Rangers came to me and said, we'll try to move you. It was a tough year for sure. And they said, based on my junior B numbers, and they could probably find me a spot, but I had nobody making phone calls for me really. So yeah, I went home and it was a tough training camp. Showed up in shape. But
wait, you went back to training camp? Okay.
Went back, yeah, and I did all right. Like
So you went mid-season over to the.
It was at the beginning. It was post training camp, and they basically said you're either going to play on our fourth line, or we're going to move you. So, so I went home. It was Kitchener, so I was living a half hour away, which was also it was a blessing and a curse because every game. I had tons of family there supporting, but also the pressures of that, I think I didn't realize at the time. It was difficult having.
I wouldn't have wanted it.
10 to 12 people.
I remember specifically thinking to myself from the on-ice stuff, like being very comfortable that nobody, like I felt like I'm going to improve at my own pace. Newfoundland's so far away. And by the time anybody there sees me play again, I'll be a pro. Like, and I remember being like confident in that. I did not want family or friends at games. I can't imagine what it would have been like. I mean, that early, that whole point of view erased itself as I got older, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I didn't realize it really at the time, but I mean, looking back, it was an added pressure that I think, for some people it's beneficial to get away and become a man and find your way, on your own. Some people it's not, but so that was tough. And then, nobody was making calls for me. So I was almost ready to pack it in at that point. Go from, playing for the Kitchener Rangers to, I can't land a spot. So I was home for a week, and then Gatineau Olympics called, and they're notorious for picking up guys from Ontario, and they've picked up some good players over the years, and they invited me there, and it was a tough decision. I mean, you look at the difference in the travel alone in the Quebec League, it's crazy difficult at times, whereas the OHL, it's a little easier. So yeah, I kind of mulled it over and went there and skated for like a week with them, and then they signed me, and it was a decent first year. It was a tough coach there, but a good coach. But he didn't. These guys are tough on their players, and they want to get the most out of you. Have still lifelong friends from those years that I keep in touch with to this day.
Ryan Graham was there, no?
Ryan was there, yeah.
Okay, my good buddy.
We were roommates actually for the first couple months. So yeah, he was awesome, and it was a good group, and yeah, and then I was there for a year and a half, I think.
Was Brophy there?
Brof was there.
Okay, geez, yeah.
Sammy Roberts was
another
there.
Good friend of mine. Sammy, okay, I knew you knew all these guys. I knew they played there. I just never really looked at the hockey DB to connect those dots. I know you know them, and it makes sense to me. Wow, okay, that's 3 big-time Newfoundlanders of that era. They were, three great players and good friends to this day.
Really good guys, and we had fun.
Yeah.
And then, so I was a year and a half there. I did all right. I had some success. We had some good players there, like Dave Krejci was there.
Oh, yeah.
My second year, they brought in Claude Giroux. He was pretty small when he got there, but you could immediately tell he had an orange synergy when he came to camp. And I fortunately didn't have to participate in rookie camp, but I went and watched, and he was you could just see he was small out there, but man, he was shifty, and he just controlled the play. What a fun kid to watch and play with. He was a great guy. He was so humble. Wow. He was another Ontario guy that got his shot in Gatineau and obviously did all right for himself. And then in my second season, we were in Halifax. We were on our Eastern road trip actually, and I think Ryan Graham had been traded previous to that, and it was the night before the deadline. We're in the hotel room. We had just played Halifax. Can't remember if we won or not. And he called me and he said, "I think you've been traded." And nobody had told me that. It was literally the night before the deadline. So somewhere, somehow, it got leaked into a fan forum, and he called it. It was a trade for a second-round pick. So that was a long night for sure. And I remember we were going to get our gear because we were headed somewhere else in the Maritime. And the coaches called me in, and they were great. I mean, it was what it was. It's tough because you're leaving your buddies for sure. But fortunately, I landed in Cape Breton, and my coach there was Pascal Vincent. And he right away, I think the first game or the second game I played with them, I immediately had success. I think I set up the tying goal, set up and then I think I won it in a shootout for them or something. So right away, the boys were happy. Yeah. It was, they didn't have to.
Were you on one of the top lines immediately?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I was kind of second line guy. They had some good players too. I was, playing behind James Shepard, who had a
I remember him.
Career.
He was first rounder
in junior. He was a man among boys. It was fun to watch. So, but I got first unit power play, and that really, the following year was my 20-year-old year, and that's when I got the 53. And I mean, our power play was dominant, and I was just fortunate that year that guys would find me, and I managed to put it in the net. But Cape Breton, it started off, met them on the road. I think they were in Bathurst. I knew a couple guys from the team. They had one Ontario guy that I grew up, Paul McElveen. I grew up playing against. He landed there somehow. And then we were line mates. So I had familiar faces. And then, it kind of was that was the spot where I felt comfortable. And Pascal gave me the opportunities and really let me play. It was, a lot of coaches, I think, confine their players to systems, and which is great and has its place. But you end up, you're squeezing your stick a little too tight a lot of times. And in Cape Breton, I never felt that. I was able to try stuff, and a lot of times it worked, sometimes it didn't. But I was never worried that I'd never see the ice again if something went wrong.
That's such a thing.
Credit to Pascal. He really gave me that chance, and we had a good team. My 20-year-old year, we were, I think, favored to win. We were up 3-1 in the semis to Val-d'Or, and they ended up coming back and beating us in Game 7.
Wow, that's rare, 3-1.
Yeah, and it was because of the travel was so far, they did a 2-3-2 style.
Yeah.
So we went there for 2. So that was, I think, a bit of a factor. But they had like Chris Letang was manning their blue line, and Brad Marchand was there. And when they got down 3-1,
I didn't know Marchand was up in Val-d'Or.
Yeah,
usually those English guys end up in one of the,
he was in Moncton, I think, prior to, and then ended up there, and they just took over. We just could not stop them. Now, they had a great supporting cast, don't get me wrong, but those guys, especially those two, just elevated their games. Letang was he would lead a rush and get a scoring chance, and then he'd be the first guy back. He was head and shoulders
I hear from
better.
People that he was one of the best juniors they've ever seen.
And he was strong, and he played with an edge. He was hard to play against, and he was just he was unbelievable. So we had a really good team. We had Andre Pavlik was our goalie. We had a player, Oskars Bartulis, who played in the NHL for a little while.
I know you're talking about, yeah.
Luc Bourdon we had. We lost him too soon. I'm sure as a lot of people know.
Passed away. He was a big player of Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
And car accident or motorcycle accident?
Motorcycle accident. Yeah, it was very sad. He was a great guy. He was a physical specimen out there. You could just see he could have been an NHLer for a long time. Super sad to have lost him. But yeah, we really had a good team, and we were going to play Lewiston in the finals, but Val-d'Or kind of closed the door on us there. So we all still keep in touch with some of the guys, and we all look back, and you always wish you could do stuff differently, but it was a good year personally for sure. But again, the same thing. I was playing in Cape Breton, which is kind of secluded, and didn't really have an agent making calls for me in those days.
My God, you had 53. I don't give a fuck how old you're 53 with no agent, and you got to figure that there was some. Now, I know you don't regret anything because we're in a great spot now, but I'm saying you've got to figure that there was a crack that someone missed there. Crack is the wrong way to put it, but there on all the teams and all the pro places, there was somewhere that you could have gone that an agent probably would have figured you to be a good fit, and then you go from there.
We always knew. Well, I kind of always knew that the Quebec City games when playing the Remparts or the teams around Montreal, I always knew that there would be more scouts in the stands for those games as opposed to a Sunday night in Sydney, Nova Scotia. And yeah, I did. I always, I thought I did pretty well. And I think also going from the OHL to the Quebec League is not ideal for sure on paper. They see that, and it's kind of doesn't help your cause.
You're right.
But yeah, I had a great 20-year-old year, had a lot of fun. I think exposure too, if we had of course there's ifs and buts always, but if we had have got to that Memorial Cup,
definitely
a lot of guys on our team would have got more of a chance. Sure. And then, fortunately though, for me, school was always important to me. And, even before I got drafted to the OHL, I had always I was talking to schools in the US a little bit, and I always wanted to experience that life and see what that was like. I was always intrigued by that. So because I was in Nova Scotia and had a good year, I kind of had my pick of what schools to go to.
I see. I was going to ask you why St. Mary's. Now, I know that I used to hang out there even before you were in your prime, I guess, and playing in the, I guess you played 5 years there, right?
Yeah.
Steinberg was there?
Trevor Steinberg, yeah.
Okay, so the 2000s, I used to go up there early 2000s and practice with them because a lot of, Keith Delaney, right? Those guys. That group was there. And a lot of my friends went there, ran the bar at the pub there at the school, a lot of friends. So I would stay with them and practice. So I know that it's a well-oiled machine. A lot of people want to go there. It's situated. It couldn't be any better for Nova Scotia if you're a student. So I personally would pick, for me, knowing what I know, it would be St. FX, St. Mary's, or probably Acadia. Now, you pick St. Mary's. Tell us how that went.
Yeah, it actually boiled down to pretty much St. FX and St. Mary's. And ultimately, the city of Halifax kind of won me over. I used to love playing junior there.
Yeah.
It was the Metro Center back then. We could drive the bus right in, and the rink was beautiful, and I had success. Cape Breton, in my years, it was a bit of a rivalry, and we usually came out in the upper hand. So I really loved Halifax. And then I talked to Dal, talked to Acadia. I was close to going to X because it's, I think, just such a beautiful camp. And,
great. Yeah, it's really, really, really beautiful.
But ultimately, Steiny was he's just such a great guy and a good person. And the city itself kind of won me over. And I knew that they had a good team. I knew it was a good opportunity for me based on what he was telling me. There was a running joke. The guys, we would laugh about it all the time on my recruit trip. Steiny told me he didn't care if I back checked. So the boys used to laugh and say, as long as I scored goals, I didn't have to back check. But
you got so many fucking points. You're a plus whatever, plus fucking 20, 30. I mean, so he was probably right. Now, was that a great mix of players or what? You guys ended up winning once, right? You won a national.
Yeah, we won the
and
nationals.
Your personal fucking stats are through the roof. I rarely have anybody on the other end of these interviews. Lots of CIS players, not many that had 50 points. So because we could talk about this for 10 hours. But in that group, now, what was it Steiny? Was it the group you had? Was it the environment? You seemed to just ooze success for that half a decade you're there. What was the major contributor to that?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of everything. We definitely had a good group. I was immediately put on the first line with Mark Rancourt. He was
he had a lot of points too. I remember that guy. Yeah,
he could pass the puck on like anything I'd ever seen. He would find me, and Cody Thornton was a recruit the same year. He was a great player, hard worker, not very big, but just he would just get pucks. He'd always get pucks back. And our power play that year, it was funny because we had success early, and Steiny kind of tried to tinker with what we were doing, and we didn't really have anything set, and we would just kind of work off each other, and Thorts would get the puck back and we'd snap it around, and we eventually just made Steiny go work with the second unit in the other end and just let us do our thing. And you can only really do that if you have success.
Yeah.
But Randy did such a good job quarterbacking it. We had the Hotham brothers, Andrew and Scott, who were OHL grads, who were phenomenal players. So the power play definitely that year. And I went in there and just got the opportunity. And right away we started scoring, and it was fun. A different game, a lot chippier, I remember thinking, because fighting was not allowed. So guys, take liberties more so than I think in other leagues. But and then like the school itself, I mean, they set you up for success.
Great.
Especially that school. I think the professors were most of the time very helpful with, if we're going to be away on the road, to make sure we have the resources we need to succeed. And also we had there were 6 of us all in the finance program together. So we had a group where, prior to any midterms or exams, we would all get together and really help each other out. And there was a culture there of success, but educational success as well. So the guys, we all worked hard at school. It wasn't like we're just there to play hockey. And the group of us, we would help each other out, and everybody wanted to be good at school. So it certainly helped academically. And then
no thanks. Oh, do you? Okay, one sec. Okay, Fergie, keep going. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. We're in a hotel room and I'm being delivered towels.
Yeah, I guess to sum that up, like it was a place where they set you up to succeed, and we had a great team. Both educationally and on the ice.
Is that what? By the way, did you graduate finance? Like what was your?
Yeah, I did a finance and management double major. During junior, I was always in part-time school, so I kind of went to university, went to St. Mary's a bit ahead of the game. So I was done my finance degree in 3 years. And then went back. I had so much fun. My third year, we won nationals, which
that year.
The program had existed for 90 years and they had never won.
Oh my fuck! So, you guys must have. Are you fucking kidding me? I didn't know that. Because in my lifetime, they've always had a decent team. So I just thought, if you went back that far, I would have guessed a dozen.
No, we were the first and only, I think, as of now. So obvious. I mean, when you win your final game in the season, it's the most fun.
Oh my god! So wait, you had 2 fucking years left. What did you take? Basket weaving? What did you do?
Yeah, well, 5th year I definitely did. 4th year I went back and did a management double major. My 4th year. So I ended up with 2 undergrads of finance and management. And And then after that 4th year, Randy and Thorts had gone to Germany in the second league and had success there. So I was approached by that team in Germany to go. So originally I wasn't planning on doing a 5th year. So I went to Germany. I left in like end of July, went through training camp, played a couple games. I was the 5th import. They had 4 from the prior year. They were allowed 5, and I was the 5th. So I think in the first, I played 4 games, and I was like, it was like 2 points plus a game. Like it was definitely could have been better, but on the score sheet, I was succeeding. After they had signed me, they had hired a new coach from the Czech Republic. That coach brought a Czech player.
And he's considered an import.
And he's an import. So he became the 5th import. And that turns out that guy led the league. So probably a good decision by them to keep that guy. But that left me kind of as the odd man out. So the team was great to me. They explained the situation and they said, like, you can stay here and skate with us as long as you want till you find a place to go. So once you're over there, I think it's a little bit easier to find a spot instead of, them bringing you over. But, it was tough for me. It was kind of like, what more could I have done at that time? So I called Steiny.
Literally a numbers game. When they say it was literally a numbers game.
Yeah, it was. And hindsight, I wish I had stayed and just lived the European lifestyle for sure. But when that happened, I was down and kind of just pissed off at the whole situation. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I called Steiny and back I went for a 5th year, back to my comfort zone and went back to St. Mary's. I did like a basket weaving. I did human resource management. That year was not the most difficult year academically, but it was a lot of fun. So I had that experience in Germany, got back in time where I was still eligible to play for St. Mary's, and then did the 5th year. And then after that 5th year, I got a call from Wheeling.
Is that it? I was going to ask, why Wheeling? Now, in my experience, Wheeling was like, it was in a tough division, in a tough conference, in a tough league, and it had tough, like John Brophy had been there before me. Like they had 5 tough guys. Like I picture that as being a real gritty spot that if I was just coming out of university and I wanted to experience pro hockey for a year or two, nothing against the people in Wheeling, but I would definitely not pick Wheeling, especially at that time.
The people were great, and the fan support was great. Honestly, it was Andrew Hotham, who was a teammate of mine at St. Mary's, went there.
That's why.
And I think he mentioned to them about me, and they called, and I had a couple teams calling, but just having Andrew there and just created a level of comfort. So I went down after the season, did all right. It was weird too, because Wheeling at the time, I don't know if they still are, but they were a double affiliate. So they had Montreal and Pittsburgh sending guys.
So you're probably, if you're not signed with one of them, it's going to be tough to get.
So I'm like a 26-year-old free agent out of CIS. So I knew what it was and ended up like, we talked about, like, I was a points guy for a lot of years.
But even there you were. But wait, I looked, when I first looked at your hockey DB, because I played against you. I know a good year, so I don't usually need numbers to justify that. But when I saw 33 points, it's one thing. But another thing, you were 3rd on your team in scoring, so you must not have had a team that put a lot of pucks in the net, prorated on any. Like there was players in that league that had 100 points that year. Your leading scorer only had 60. Yeah. And then 2 players in the 30s, and you were one of them.
Yeah, 30 points on the third as a third-line center, shutting down the other team's best players. Yeah, it was good. It was an interesting league. I mean, anybody that's played in it, it's a lot of travel. It's a lot of hockey, and you spend a lot of time on the bus. But for us, like, we had such a good group. It was a lot of fun. It was a good couple years. And yeah, I had some success, but then my second year there was the last lockout. So again, being a free agent from the CIS, like, we had so many bodies being sent down because there was no NHL, and we had 2 affiliates. So Clark Donatelli was the coach there, and he was awesome with me. He kept me there. He gave me opportunities. His hands were tied a little bit with the draft picks and stuff, but he was great. And I was, I wasn't getting top line minutes, but I was playing, didn't really sit out much. And of course they're getting pressure from the NHL teams to play the draft picks, which I get. But yeah, I was able to play, and I did all right. But it was definitely tough. You're just constantly looking over your shoulder.
So a lot of
for the
games
next
played,
guy
yeah.
coming down, and especially with the lockout year. I think the level of the league in terms of, skill got a lot better because there's a lot more players. But yeah, it's just one of those situations where every day you don't really know. You never really get into that comfort role where you think you should be or where you're going to be, because there were just so many bodies. But everybody experienced that, that year with the lockout. It wasn't just me. And fortunately I stayed and had some fun and, contemplated going back for another year and trying to get into the HL and do that. But at that point, I think I'm 27, and I had originally, I hadn't really planned on stunts being a career. I had my foot in the door.
Because your uncle, right?
Yeah, my uncle's been in the industry for 40 years. So it was actually great for me. Between hockey seasons, I would go away to play hockey, and then I would come home and I would work on a movie for a couple days during the summer.
I was going to ask. So you were familiar. So you didn't just in your 20s call up your uncle and say, hey, didn't you do something with stunts? You always had an idea.
Yeah, and my cousins all do it. So it stunt world is it is a lot of family business. I mean, you kind of just grow up in it and you learn it. It's a crazy, crazy industry. But yeah, so it was always a part of my life to some extent. I think I did my first one when I was 7 years old.
Wow.
It's a CBC show called Wind at My Back. And I remember I remember as a kid going into the craft truck for the first time, and
I bet
I just they'll make you any food you want. You can have all this. And
it was going, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's I was just blown away. So yeah, I got into the union and then just kept it and was able to just work randomly throughout the summers between hockey seasons. And then, I was that last year in Wheeling, it was kind of what's next? And I had my finance degree. So I tried a job in finance. And
so you got that in Halifax.
Yeah.
And at some point here, someone gives you a phone call and you say, I'm going to try the Newfoundland Senior League.
Yeah. I got a random phone call from Grand Falls, and
some of your buddies there. Now, Greg Hoff would have played.
Yeah, I knew Hoffer.
Colin Power, but I don't think he was in Grand Falls yet.
He was a great resource because there was a couple teams that had called me about it. And being in Halifax, it was kind of an easy flight. Yeah. And they told me the situation and how you can work a 9 to 5 and they'll fly you in and get you back in time on Monday.
Had you heard of this? And when you got over there, well, actually, I'll let you finish this. How you get invited first?
Yeah, I didn't hear much about it. I knew there was a couple guys I knew had gone over, but I really had no idea. And I kind of used Colin Power as a resource as to where I should go and who's a reputable team and where guys are treated well. And he immediately said Grand Falls. He said, you'll never worry about anything if you
go. It's a good answer. And I think he was playing with me in Mount Pearl. But because we're both from there and we knew the difference. We went there trying to help them out for a few years, and they never they never really got on board with the imports. They were kind of, I don't want to get any teams in hot water here, but we got paid quite well. For you guys, it was really worth your while to come over. For us in Mount Pearl, we maybe had half that budget. It was really tough. So he gave you an honest answer. We would have loved to see you. We ended up playing. Chris Morrison played with
Yeah.
He was an import for us for 1 year.
Yeah, he's a good friend.
We had a few. Dave Kornacchia played in the OHL. He was a guy. But we always only had one. I think teams would allow 3. We only had one. It was, it was definitely the best decision. Grand Falls reminds me of Kamloops in the Western League. They get a lot of fans. Yeah. They're usually real successful. Guys like playing there, and you have a chance at winning the Allen Cup / Memorial Cup. But you guys did. So you won a herder at least, or did you win 2? No, we beat you one of them.
You didn't beat me in any of them, big fella.
Well, no, we didn't. Oh, no.
It would have been the year before.
Yeah, the year before.
Yeah.
We pull a big upset. Grand Falls went 22-2. It's in my book. And while we were with the CBs, Hewells was on our team, Chris Hewlett, who just came here and did a stunt gig with us. It was one of my biggest wins ever, senior or no. But I forgot you weren't there then.
Yeah, my 3 years in Grand Falls, we won 3 herders.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
And we picked you up with Clarenville because I went to the Allen
first year. Yeah, it was nice because, I had been playing out east for so long, and the way they do it in Newfoundland is they pick up guys for the Allen Cup. So Ivan Hapgood with Clarenville called me and asked me if I'd come play, and I had just started a new job, so it was kind of risky business. They didn't want me to go. I managed to get the time off, but they didn't really know I was going home to play hockey. It's actually kind of a funny story. So we ended up in the finals.
Yeah.
And we lost 3-2 to Dundas.
Dundas, yeah.
So in those days, TSN was still covering the finals.
Yeah. I remember that. It was 2015 or 16.
Yeah, so none of my bosses at my job knew I was going home to play hockey.
Oh, really?
Now I'm on TSN.
Oh.
and
weren't you an all-star?
I scored both
Yeah, you did. I remember.
I had 2 interviews in between each period because I was the guy that scored.
Too funny.
So my work buddies were texting me after like, oh, you're fucked. Like, but fortunately, nobody really found out. And I mean, it didn't really matter anyways because I think I left the job like 4 weeks later after that tournament. But it was nice for me. It was in Dundas, and I grew up, half hour from Dundas. So my family was able to come and watch, and it was good. It was kind of like nice to come back home and jumping on a team like that. That
was awesome. For those that I've often talked about it, God, we had a great hockey team. Like really, really, this was a good pro hockey team. It was a privilege to be on that squad. And we lost, 3-2 overtime to Dundas Real McCoys in Dundas. I remember Jay McKee playing. He just got out of the NHL. He was a big player. Ryan Christie was there.
I think Randy Rowe scored the game.
Yes,
winner.
Randy Rowe. Yeah,
OHL scoring champion.
OHL. Yeah, I remember I played against him he was in Peoria. I remember Randy well. It was just a great hockey game, great hockey team. So now after that, I kind of lost. I didn't know exactly where you were in the film world, but I kind of lost track of you in the hockey world. So you stayed in Ontario and played right up until now, right? Yeah.
Well, so then eventually I moved. I didn't really love my job in finance. It was an entry-level position in Halifax, and went from, playing hockey every day to sitting in front of 3 screens and sitting there all day in a cubicle. And so I lasted about 5 months and just couldn't do it. So I quit the job and moved home. And I because of being playing in the East Coast League, PHPA, the Players Union, has a deal with the firefighting school in Toronto.
I went through it.
I did the FESTI 4-week program at a reduced cost, which was great. It's kind of like leaning towards stunts and firefighting. That was going to be my career path. Had a meeting with like my uncle and some people in the stunt industry about how to go about this, and it's a difficult world to crack, and how to do it the right way, and who to work with, and how to stay safe. And I remember, I didn't realize it at the time, my aunt, who's my uncle's wife, took me around to sets with my resume and introduced me to coordinators. And at the time, I didn't really realize, but that is like, in the stunt world, that is a huge thing. To vouch for somebody like that and put your name on the line for somebody else it just doesn't happen every day. So I'm super grateful that she was willing to do that.
Wow.
I just kind of chipped away at it. Like we were talking about earlier, it's tough. We're essentially unionized contract workers. So you don't know when your next day of work's going to be. So mentally it can be difficult. Financially, you have to manage things. But when I did actually get my first big job, it was stunt doubling on the movie Goon 2.
That was it.
So it was like,
and that would have been what, like 17, 18?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
And like, did you do firefighting for a little bit?
No, well, and
you were just in the school.
I did the school.
And was the school in Toronto?
Yeah, it was at the airport at Pearson. It's FESTI, it's called.
Because I remember running into you in Toronto, and that would have been why you were there.
Yeah, likely. I was living in Toronto,
like Queen West area.
Yeah.
Can't remember, but I remember running into you there. And then see, shortly after that, because I know Ryan Graham, and we went to a Toronto FC game and everything. So it's cloudy to me where I ran into you by fluke in the middle of Toronto, and where we all got together. It was something. It was something like that.
Yeah.
So that's where we are in time then. So at that point, you were deciding, okay, I'm going to go full into stunts, and you were still playing. But you didn't play for Dundas all this time, right?
No, I was still going back to Grand Falls every weekend.
Okay.
And like, fortunately for me, I didn't really have a real job. So we would get flight delays in Newfoundland.
Hewells got fired because of it. I remember he was on our team as an import.
We got stuck there for like 3 days, and I didn't have anything to get home to. So I was just loving it. I was enjoying the mini vacation. Hewells was freaking out. Yeah. But so for me, that first year when I was back in Toronto, I was going out there and having fun, and we had success. I mean, we won every year. Our locals were great. Our newfies were great. Our imports were great. It was just like, And guys out there, like, they want to play in that league and they want to win the herder. Like, it's a big deal. So that was fun. It was fun to come in and be a part of that group. And,
like, it must have been in Grand Falls too, right? I mean, my dad's from Grand Falls. It's the only senior team I think I haven't played for, but not because I don't. There was always a reason. I'm from Mount Pearl. Gander. I played for Gander for a bit. And anyway, without getting into all the reasons I didn't, I really think it's a well-oiled machine. I love going to Grand Falls. I love the size of it. It looks like a little Pleasantville, right? You can tell it's a mill town that sprouted up in the 30s and 40s, and real nice history to it. And everybody knows the local baseball players and hockey players. And if you go there, Joe Byrne is as popular as Wayne Gretzky. I love that about it. But you guys also had almost 1,000 season ticket holders for your whole time there. You got paid really well. You had the best buses, meals, everything paid for. And I was trying to explain to people in the Newfoundland League, like, it's run like pro. Like, you're expected to be a pro. You're supposed to get there before the game, well before. Don't dress like a total streel. Be professional. You might have an interview in between. People are going to sell jerseys. So did you see that coming? And when you were getting paid the money you were you like, is this real?
Yeah, yeah, kind of.
Like, at first, I'm saying, if I didn't know much about a senior league, and someone called me to get paid that kind of money, I would expect, okay, is this a fighters league like the Quebec, or are they going to pay us to play hockey in this island on the end of Canada?
Yeah, it was a combination of everything, like the effort level that the guys played with, like senior, I mean, you can argue that guys don't battle as hard.
I know,
as
in
they
a lot of
used
places
to,
they don't.
But there it was like, we had like 22, 23-year-old Newfoundlanders playing, and they're out there grinding, chipping pucks, hitting guys. Like, our decor was just big and mean.
They were the hardest decor I've ever played
and I'm
against
glad I
in
never
senior.
had to play against them because that
good and big.
I should also mention, like, in the early going, they asked me if I wanted to stay in a hotel or if I wanted to stay with a family. And at that time in my life, I don't know, I didn't choose the hotel route. I said, you know what?
Really?
Yeah, I actually had billets. I was like, whatever, 28, 29, and Rod and Mandela Windsor. I still keep in touch with them to this day. Like, they treated me so well. It was immediately like a second home.
Wow, that's great. I didn't know this.
It was like they're such good people. And, I think it's not like a lot of people know Newfoundlanders are salt of the earth people. They're just good, but especially them. And Mandela with the dinners, and Rod would come pick me up late for the airport with a couple refreshments it was just immediately, after my first trip over, we hit a moose in between. Come on. Literally in the cab.
Just the stereotypical,
15 minutes out of Gander. I'm there for half an hour and we hit a bull moose comes across the road. So I was like, fuck. What is this? But fortunately, everyone was fine. We only just
I don't mean to laugh. I figured they were if you're telling the story. Okay.
Me and Hoffer were in the cab, and we just nicked them, and it was fine. But yeah, anyways, so that was my first. And then when I met the Windsors, it was just like they just treated me so well. It was like literally, and the team themselves, it was better than pro. The way
and they got it's a awesome setup, and I suppose. Yeah, they're getting their COVID kind of knocked senior back a little bit in Newfoundland. The teams are still there, but you know what I mean? There's not as many, I think, imports that the leagues aren't all one like it was. You got 3 iterations of senior hockey, but it's coming back, and the herder is still the herder, and it's like cyclical over there. And like I said, it kind of knocked it back a little bit, but it's awesome. When I played senior out in Corner Brook, I went that route as well. The first year, I played 4 years there total. First year, hotel, and then I met some real nice people, Nancy and Sean Gibbons, and they lived in Steadybrook. And I said, they just like that, we hit it off. And I'm like, they would pick me up from the Deer Lake Airport, have a few beers there ready for me. I would go in Thursday, we'd practice, and then usually play Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday. I enjoyed that setup too. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, definitely not for everyone. But like that point in my life, it was nice to have a warm cooked meal.
Yeah.
And there were lots of those. I used to laugh because some of the other guys, weren't treated quite as well as I was.
Totally.
I was gaining weight there because there was just so much food, and they're just really great people. And like I said, I still keep in touch with them to this day. Every couple of weeks, every couple of months, we call, and when we can, we visit. They've been. When did they come? They come up to Toronto a couple of years ago. But yeah, it was a great experience, and And aside from a couple moose incidents, it was a lot of fun.
Well, that's awesome.
Bet the action on the ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. With DraftKings, you can bet on any game you want. Whether you want to bet the puck line or the over-under, DraftKings has something for everybody. And if you want, you can throw down on your favorite player as an anytime goal scorer. Or if you're looking for a long-term bet, maybe you want to predict the Stanley Cup champion. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN. New customers get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's promo code THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network, only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023, all rights reserved. It may be too early to start decorating for the holidays, but it's never too early to start your holiday shopping. So why not take care of it now before the crowds and packed calendars make shopping a total nightmare? Especially when you can get some of the best deals of the season well before Black Friday. You can shop Raycon products right now and save up to 50% off. Yes, 50% off, because their early Black Friday sale is going on right now. You've probably heard me talk about some of Raycon's products on here before, like how great they are for listening to the Hockey Podcast Network or some of TR's music recommendations. Raycon first made a name for themselves in the audio space with products like their everyday earbuds, known for delivering high quality and thoughtful features like a 32-hour battery life or a perfect in-ear fit for all-day lasting comfort. And this past year, Raycon expanded their entire business with the introduction of Raycon Home and Raycon PowerTech. The Raycon Home faucet filter ultra filters the water in your tap against chlorine and heavy metals. It's a must-have for ensuring that the water you use to wash your face and brush your teeth is, actually clean. Or if you're looking for a great stocking stuffer, their 5-star reviewed Magic 180 cable allows you to charge iOS, micro USB, and Type-C devices 8 times faster with 100-watt power delivery. Raycon is known for delivering high quality and thoughtful features at half the price of other premium tech brands. It's no wonder their products have racked up tens of thousands of 5-star reviews. To get everyone in the holiday shopping spirit a bit early, Raycon is currently offering 20% off everything on their site, with select products up to 50% off. So beat the crowds now. Trust me, you do not want to miss out on Raycon's early Black Friday sale. Hurry now to buyraycon.com/THPN to get 20 to 50% off site-wide. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to score up to 50% off Raycon products. buyraycon.com/THPN.
Now, listen, I know I said a half hour, and this always happens, but it's been 45 minutes. But I have just a few. We call it rapid-fire randoms for the end. Are you okay for those?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. And by the way, maybe we'll have to have volume 2 because I got so many other, like now we could get into Shoresy for another 2 hours because I don't even know if I explained it yet, folks, but we find ourselves here again because Cam is doing stunt coordinating for our show and plays a roles in there at times. And so we're in Sudbury for most of the better part of 6 weeks together, right? So now we're here, brings us here. I have people over at the hotel. It's much easier. I wanted to get Cam on for a while, if not for our common denominator friends and the Newfoundland League, but stunts kind of brings it all together. So here we are. Rapid fire randoms with Cam Fergus. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Time travel.
That's a great answer.
All the bad decisions we've made in the past. Imagine we could go back.
Most people say flying or invisibility cloak or whatever it is, but time
travel, baby. I would have won the lottery 4 or 5 times by now.
Like Biff in Back to the Future 2. That's the big thing. Didn't see that coming. All he does, he goes back and for such an idiot, for Biff the idiot in the Back to the Future movies, that's one genius move that he makes.
Yeah.
He gets hold of that time machine, and the first thing is go get a gambling book, sports book. Your most memorable goal ever?
Ooh. I got a couple. Funny. I scored 2 goals in the championship game. Nationals CIS with St. Mary's. I had herniated discs and missed all the playoffs because I couldn't feel my right leg, and the athletic therapy team there freaking worked their butts off to get me back, and I was able to. I think I might have been an all-star, second team all-star for the tournament.
Yeah.
So either one of those 2 goals, or in Grand Falls, I scored the Herder winning goal in overtime against Corner Brook, and.
Did you?
Yeah. That one was pretty awesome. I mean, the rink was just on wheels. They were loving it. It was overtime.
In overtime.
Yeah. I think we were up in the series anyways, but to score the winner. So that either of those.
Yeah, those are big. And I can just imagine the fucking atmosphere in that overtime.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Jesus
So
Christ, wouldn't replicate that in any league. I'll give you a player. You give me one word. Scott Darling.
Oh, what a great story. Great human. 2
So
words.
Stanley Cup winner, for those that don't know, and came from the East Coast League, and Cam had played with them in Wheeling before he won the cup.
Just a great person and a great story. He turned his life around and won a Stanley Cup. And I was with him in Wheeling and got to see the good Scott Darling. I never ever saw the dark days for him, and just a great human.
Awesome. I got to know him recently. He's a stand-up comedian now. And I didn't know him at all when he played pro, and we became pretty good friends. He visited Newfoundland a couple of years ago. Pat O'Keefe.
Oh, the worst guy to play against in junior. Just a motor, just nonstop. Motor,
yeah.
Absolute motor.
Chipway, small guy, but
Great
really,
guy.
and uses that stick so well.
Yeah, and he was little, and he was always in your face, and especially like we played Fog Devils in playoffs both my years in Cape Breton.
I remember that.
He would just battle forever, and he was just a little twerp out there, but he was just a motor. I played with him at university. He's a great guy.
He was on the team that you guys won it, right?
Yeah.
Colin Power.
A truck. I used to have to get out of the
One
way.
of the best hitters ever.
Oh man, I would literally dodge
hitter,
bodies because they'd be flying from the
Jesus
forecheck.
Christ, what a hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm including all the pro that I played. I'd be hard pressed to come up with 5 better hitters than Colin Power.
Yeah, he was a freight train.
Me. Scott Brophy.
Oh, heart and soul guy. Just one of the best guys ever.
Great leader,
great person. Just one of the best guys you'd ever meet.
Ryan Graham.
Oh, absolute beauty.
And he was your roommate too. I forgot.
Yeah,
that.
we went through some stuff. We had not to, go too in depth.
No.
But we had been living together for a couple weeks, and it took me a couple weeks to finally figure out what the hell he was saying half the time. But our billet son had
Newfoundlander's hard enough. A Newfoundlander with a speech impediment. There you go.
Yeah.
Good luck. In a Quebec league. Good luck.
Yeah. So once I figured out, but our billet son, who didn't live with us, we lived with the brother, committed suicide.
Oh Jesus, I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is a little sidetrack, but so we lived with the brother. The brother that we lost lived with the father. We lived with the mom and the younger brother. So Ryan and I became very close very quickly because
I bet
we had to be the big brother for Pat, who had lost his. So we had so much fun, man. He's a funny guy.
I love
one
him.
of the guys
one of my favorite people on the planet. Yeah.
Call him up and it's just like yesterday, and he'd do anything for you.
And when I say speech impediment, I know I'll get emails about that. So he's got a little bit of a lips type thing. We joke about it. We always do. He tells a funny story when he went to Minnesota camp, and they give you 4 crackers, and you got to eat the crackers really quick and try to tell a story inside of a minute. And he talks about how fucked up his story sounded because it's hard anyway. And I can only imagine. And you're a rookie and you're there, and all like it's bad enough. And he says, I kind of had a complex about it. I'm fucking spitting dry crackers out of my mouth. It's a great fucking story.
We had a great time at his wedding this summer. He's a great man.
So you're
brother. He's a brother to me. He will be forever.
Yeah, me too. And I didn't know that. That something like that can bring you guys together really early, or anybody. Your last meal, you're on death row. What would it be?
I'm gonna go with medium rare elk steak with a baked potato, all the fixins, and some veggies on the side there.
Very specific. The elk steak. Okay, you're a DJ in this world. Stunts fell through. All your hockey connections are gone. And right now you live in Vienna, Austria, and you're big onto the EDM dance scene. And now you are a DJ. You got to pick one of these names. Ferg City, The Ice Ferg, Funkmaster Fergus, or simply Zonk.
I think 3 or 4, probably Funkmaster, but Zonk would probably do.
Okay, you got to travel to Jupiter, so you got to go up there, and you got a little bit of business to do on one of the moons. You're a scientist, and for some reason, it's about 3-4 months. We've come up with some crazy technology. This is a couple months from now, and we can go there and back about 3 months each way. Now, you got to pick one of your teammates. It's only, let's say, 4 people fit on this ship, but you got to pick one to be a DJ and one to be a chef, and it's got to be an ex-teammates. Who's going to cook the food and who's going to do the music?
It's been such a long time. I think so. In Wheeling, played with a guy, Zach Torquato.
I know Zach. He's
Yeah.
married to a friend of mine,
He was
Newfoundlander.
Italian. He liked his food.
I think Scott was the reason he was over in Newfoundland was his wedding,
Yeah,
I
could have
think.
been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Torx could probably be the DJ and the chef.
Oh, nice. I'll let him know.
Yeah, he was. His parents used to come down. They were Italian. They'd cook up.
Yeah, I met his parents. I met his
delicious
pa
meals.
actually on the street as well. You're saying that. I met them just walking down the street. And then he's married to a friend of ours, Carolyn, and I believe he played over in Europe that while, right? He's probably still over there
he's
playing.
coaching there now.
Oh, is he? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I knew. I followed his career a little bit. Great fella.
Yeah, great guy. He would do both, I think, for me. Yeah.
Oh,
Although
wow.
I do like cooking as well. So
Good answer.
Also another guy there, Zach Hansen, American guy from Minnesota, I believe. I was roommates with him, and he would cook up some big, delicious meals.
Now you get to take a celebrity on this trip. Okay, so you got you plus 3 more. You already got your DJ and your chef. Well, I guess you could take, you know what? So let's take 2. If Zach's going to do both, you're going to take 2 of these 5 people.
Okay.
6 people. Justin Bieber, Tom Cruise, Jimmy Fallon, Kid Rock, Snoop Doggy Dogg,
Ooh.
or Victor Wembanyama. Guy who just went first overall.
That's tough.
Mhm. You gotta take 2.
Give me that list again.
Justin Bieber,
Yeah, Biebs is it.
Tom Cruise.
Okay, so Tom is.
You could pick his brain about stunts.
Oh, and he treats his stunt guys great. And
Does he?
Oh yeah.
Okay, this is good to hear.
Yeah.
I like to hear it because he has more money and fame than anybody could ever. There's only so many people that have more money and fame
Yeah.
than ever. But a lot of them don't be good people, and I don't understand it. And when I hear about this guy and you hear all the Scientology, whatever, and I don't want to ever judge people on their beliefs. I hate doing that, but I do judge people on how they treat. And I've never known anybody to be in his world.
Yeah.
So you've heard this
So
now.
colleagues of mine worked on the Mission Impossible, whatever
Okay.
one, 7 or 6 or whatever one just came out, and he does his own stunts, which is crazy for a guy like that. And yeah, he treats the stunt guys very, very well.
Awesome.
So he's got to be on the list for sure.
Awesome to hear. Well, who's
And
the
then
other one?
Snoop. Yeah, I think Snoop would probably be good to.
I can't see how it would be bad. Can you?
Snoop.
It can't be bad.
Me, Tom, and Snoop just chilling.
Not bad. There's just 2 good picks. I don't know who I would have. Those were the first 6 names popped into my head.
You come up with that.
Yeah,
That's
it's popped into my. You know what I often do the night before? I just sit there and have half a gummy or smoke a little bit, and have half a coffee, and it usually drums up some good
awesome. So
questions.
you get the creative juices.
Yeah, if I
flowing.
get too far in, it's not good. But there is that, that happy medium area. Favorite athlete outside of hockey? Ever. It doesn't
good
have to be
question.
now.
I mean, Tiger for sure.
Interesting.
I think Michael Jordan too.
I
I
love
remember
Michael
as
Jordan.
a kid watching the Bulls, and when he made that cross pull-up jumper for in the finals, I think either of those 2 are.
And when I
just
saw the documentary and how hard of a teammate he can be, which some people didn't like, but when I look back, every time he was interviewed, he always was humble, and knowing that now, how hard he was on his teammates, and that he never came out and really shit on him in the media, I really appreciate it with today's new age athlete. A lot of them
Yeah.
aren't like that.
And you have to, to be a good leader, you have to ruffle feathers.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta expect the best, but I think you can't expect more than what you're willing to give. And a guy like that, worked his ass off and he had high expectations, but he backed it up.
Agreed. Have you ever been in a line brawl?
I don't think I have in all the years. I've been beat up a couple times for sure, but that was mostly
line brawl's rare. Yeah.
Yeah. Line brawl's kind of.
A lot of fights I've been in, but I really, if I think about it, where all 5 people were fighting. Western League, I remember, even in the A, 2 might break out, but for a line brawl, those are rare.
Unless you're talking about in the movies.
Yeah, we do a lot of those.
I was just in one in season 2.
True. And I can't talk about, by the way, so there was something you did the other day that when I said it, I made a rhyme up about you having balls. That's big kahunas. People are going to see it, and I'll talk about this. So you guys listening, send me messages. Send me one after season 3 comes out, which I'm guessing is going to be in the spring. Could be later, but I really don't know. We're filming it now. That's no secret. I'm guessing for like hockey playoffs around there. And if it comes out, and then I can answer the question that I just kind of hinted at, then by all means, send me a message. I can't say it now, but it was one of the most ballsy things I've seen. I don't know that I'd be able to do it. Timing, too. You also have to be a good stuntman for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements for sure, but it wasn't just me. And without giving up too many details, I was involved, but there was multiple people, and everybody had to be on, and we were on, and it was pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I think it turned out great. I was actually nervous. I was skating around beforehand, and I went over like I was like that. I was like it was me.
That's one of the tough things with stunts is like inevitably, you do your acting and all the stuff through the day, and then the last thing we do is the stunt. So you sit there all day and you're thinking about what you have to do.
It's like it's like the odd time that if there's times that a game's going to be rough, but let's say the game before, and I wasn't really dirty. I really wasn't, but there was things sometimes maybe I hit the goalie or something the game before, and I know that
it's coming.
Ryan Vandenbush is coming, and he's coming first shift. And I'd rather the game be fucking noon, to be honest. I wish this was the Sunday noon. Yeah, it's like that when the stunt comes, because you're like, you get 100%. In, right? It's crew call, and then you're like, 8 hours from now.
Sit around, you think about it, you overthink about it.
You always overthink it. Always overthink
but
it.
It reminds me of hockey in that way. It's like you have to be mentally prepared and physically prepared, and once you're there and you're
and it's funny because once I remember that feeling. Well, I still get it because we still do those things. And even as much as uneasy, it's nervous anxiety, as uneasy as that is, I'm kind of addicted to the feeling. When I don't have that feeling in my life for 6 months, I feel complacent. I feel lost.
Like walking out for a playoff game.
Yeah.
Lining up for the anthem.
Yeah, just like that.
You're just, the adrenaline's there. But you have to harness it. You can't, you can't let it overpower you. You still have to
totally.
be in the moment.
And I think that is, as much as it might be uncomfortable for me, I know that I can, we all do. And I like harnessing that. I enjoy it. And the feeling after it's done. And I find you couldn't have that. That feeling could never happen without the first feeling. And that second feeling is one of my favorite feelings in the world.
It's hard to, unless you feel it, it's hard to.
Yeah, it's hard to explain it.
But fortunately on this show, with all the hockey guys, we've all kind of lived that and been able to perform,
So you don't, that goes kind of unsaid on this set.
We're very fortunate to work with this group.
Favorite uniform ever? It doesn't have to be hockey. Favorite jersey, basically, could be anything. I love the Chicago Blackhawks. People in Montreal are going to feel blasphemous, but I just really, really like it.
I grew up a Canucks fan because my only memories of my uncle playing.
True.
Was 94 when he was with the Canucks. The skate blade, the orange, yellow, and black
classic
Canucks jersey. I had the starter jacket that he probably had. Pull it over, half zip with those colors. That's definitely, and even their white and blue and green ones are nice now too.
Yeah, they are. And listen, so the beret stick that you grab, you shoot right, he shoots left. You bought it, you got it just for souvenir purpose. Which
my uncle shot left too, so they were 2 left sticks, so I wasn't going to use them anyways. And it was he came up to me, and I remember thinking this is a long time ago.
I remember
thinking it wasn't that big, and he had 2 sticks, and his curve was just like a big open hook.
Remember his agility?
And it was just cooler.
Remember him in the zone, his agility.
His speed.
When I say to people, good skater, Like when I say Paul Coffey's a good skater, I also think Pavel Bure's a good skater, but they're two different
Yeah,
things.
Pavel is, I feel
Holy
like just explosive. Just
explosive.
gone.
And then in the zone, like one way and then the other.
It'd be interesting to see a guy like that in today's game.
You really would.
And see if he would. I gotta think he would stand out, but it's gotten so much faster.
You've got to think. It's like Sergei Fedorov, I've often thought. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Certain guys, like, I would have to think. I mean, I don't know. But, you know, if you think about it, Joe Thornton just retired a couple of years ago. I mean, he played when they did. Yeah. And if people can adapt their game and go so long, I know he was a fraction of himself, but he still played. You know, guys that played.
You can figure it out.
So maybe. Now, would their skating has been as much of an asset when everybody's a good skater? You know, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I'd love to see it.
I mean, kids nowadays are so freaking good.
I know.
It's just changed so much.
Like everybody can everybody has great. Yeah. And Michigan's a joke.
Yeah, it's like 6-year-olds doing that in games now. That didn't even exist 15 years ago.
It didn't. One of the first times I saw a backhand toe drag, me and my stepson Tyson were at a game in Grand Falls watching, and it was you. And now it happens all the time.
Yeah,
that's true. You got to go to the North Pole for some reason. Now this time you're a scientist and you're going up and you're doing experiments on the glaciers. You're in the North Pole for 300 days. You get 3 albums. Which ones would you take?
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I got to go with like AC/DC.
Okay. Like it can be 3 greatest hits if you want.
Yeah, greatest hits for sure. I mean, those like in teen years, listen to that before games.
Can't really go wrong, that's for sure.
And then Tragically Hip for sure. I'd take their greatest hits.
Yeah,
good Canadian music. And then I got to go some hip hop. I mean, when that 2004 Dre album came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe there. So
okay, that's 3 good ones. I always, it's like a standard question, but it always, because for me, I go in music. I love the Beatles,
right.
But I might go 3 months without listening to one song.
Right.
And then you're in a mode, and you're like, okay. The other 2 weeks ago, I listened to every Huey Lewis and the News album straight through. I was just here.
I'm actually like blown away at your music knowledge and
only child. Pre-internet growing up,
right.
And I had 3,000 or 4,000 albums to pick from and do whatever I wanted. That's why.
It's so great that your character likes music.
I know it is.
Well.
I
so
wonder
perfect.
if he did that because of it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like, because he's into music too, so I never really asked him. But not only does Hitch like music, but a lot of what he likes is kind of what I like anyway. Like,
it's great. It's so good.
Yeah, no, I love it. And music's always plays a big role in my life. Okay, for $326 million. Okay, so you're going to get $326 million for this. So your money woes are over. Not that you have woes, but you never have to worry again. Okay, but you've got to replace your head with a random male head. You don't really know. It's going to be a random head, like a bingo. You're pulling a number. You have no idea. It's going to be a random head, and you have a no smoking tattoo on your neck for some reason.
Okay,
like a big one. But it's $326 million. Do you take it?
Yeah.
You take the 326.
I think you do.
It's tough for me to look at myself without my head, but just think of 326 million.
$300 million makes a lot.
Everybody's
handsome.
And
well,
for the rest of,
did you land on 326 million?
I don't know. I'm looking at that now. Look, I'm not kidding. That's what I wrote.
Yeah.
And look, so at some point last night, I'm sitting there, I got gummies in me. See, it's billion at first. And for some reason, I changed it to 300. Like that would make a difference, right? And why 326? I don't know, but that's the question.
That's great. Yeah, no, give me a new head. And give me $300 million.
Your best Christmas memory ever.
Christmas. Wow, interesting. I mean, I think any hockey player that went away to play, coming back at Christmas, you'd get like a week. And just
really appreciate it.
Like that first couple days when your buddies come and see you and you visit family. And so like, when I was away in Cape Breton, probably obviously hockey was going great. So, there was not a ton of pressure there, and just coming home to see friends and family for the first night where you get together and have a couple beers. Definitely. It makes you appreciate people.
Tri-Cities would, send me home if I asked, obviously, but it was like we only were off like for 4 or 5 days. So I remember we played on like the 23rd and the 27th, and I flew home anyway, again from Tri-Cities. So I got to go like up to Vancouver and then across. It took forever, and they booked me to St. John, New Brunswick, and I spent Christmas in a hotel, the wrong place, and it was too late to get any.
Right.
Everything was packed over, so
Beautiful
I spent
St. John.
in a hotel room. Went down to the lobby, and actually, I do remember it being a good time. I told everybody my story at the hotel bar, and we had a laugh.
Yeah, I mean, you make the best.
Yeah,
of it, for sure.
Your best Halloween costume you've ever worn?
Good. So at St. Mary's, I had some back trouble, some injury issues throughout the year. So I spent a lot of time in the athletic therapy clinic, and we had 2 trainers, Chad Newhook, who's a newfie, and Kurt Stevenson. So Chad was kind of like a power lifter, pretty heavy set guy, pretty prominent goatee.
Yeah.
Kurt was like a tall, skinny cyclist. So, I mean, the athletes at the school all hung out together, and Chad and Kurt were very prominent people in this new world. So Ryan Rohrbeck, a roommate of mine, former OHL guy, we dressed up as Chad and Kurt. So I put a big pillow in my thing. I had a goatee, and he always used to drink Diet Coke. So the varsity athletes really loved that one, and Chad and Kurt loved it too. So
Oh, I was going to say, so if they loved it.
that was probably the best one. We got the most attention for that one. We were taping up ankles and stuff. By the end of the night.
What rule would you change in hockey?
This whole push for no fighting needs to disappear.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like
you just said earlier,
it's the same
in university, when there's no fighting, what happens? It gets
everybody's a tough guy.
Yeah.
And everybody, players police themselves.
Yeah.
It's always been like that. And, I never want to see guys get hurt. I don't want to see concussions, but this push for
I had more with
there's going to be more injuries because of no fighting.
I had PCS 4 times, once really bad, all through getting hit open ice though. It's like, I can't explain to people, but a punch just can't have as much force as me skating as a left winger out of my own end, looking for that breakout pass, and someone's coming this way, and force on force. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, and sometimes I guess you could get in a fight in your head. But if you look at now, I've done it 1,000 times. If you look at the amount of concussions, there are more now, and there's way less fighting. So obviously, it's like Crosby, some of those, right?
Yeah, and I didn't do a ton of fighting, but I have a huge respect.
But you're getting hit if there's none. Yeah,
and,
right.
The guy that if I didn't have,
you didn't do it done for a reason. That's
nobody's
the reason.
thinking twice. They're just out there to hurt you, knowing that nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So that rule, I feel like that's a rule.
It's funny.
Somebody who has never played the game at a high level is making that rule.
And people that chime in on Twitter, a lot of them they're not real fans, and you're seeing them comment, and but they haven't put any time in to experience the game. It's funny. You say senior. First few years senior hockey, I went home, man, and me and Langer fought. Again, when I get onto the ice, I'm thinking like you are, okay? I knew I got out to the Western League. I realized I'm in a tough league. I do have a bit of a temper, but I'm really never, ever thinking going into this game, I can't wait to fight, or this is my job, or it happened. I know it seems crazy to hear me say that, but that's the truth now. But was I tough? Yes. Middleweight that could fight the heavies, and when it happened, some teams I played on, like my first year in the A, I had 34. If I'm on a team that people need it to happen. So anyway, all of that fighting, and my first bunch of years in Newfoundland Senior League, I barely fought at all. Again, Langer twice. I don't know. There was a couple more people got brought in, and never more than 4, 5 in a year, but it happened. Okay. Now the year that they take it out, I don't know. I guess it was 2010 or 11, where they made it a 3-fight rule in senior. Remember that? So we're playing first game of the year, and I'm not even really paying attention. I don't even think first game of the year though. Ryan Penny, who's shit disturber, but he's next to me, and Penny. You want to go? And I'm going, what the fuck? I'm not even thinking about it. And sure enough, puck drops. Boom! Cross-checked me in the back of the head. I drop my gloves. Now I start going. Yeah, he dropped his gloves. We went straight down. And he's laughing. He goes, that's one. Yeah. And I'm like, oh. And then I'm going, oh, exactly. I only get 2 more of these, and then I'm going to start getting, which sure enough. Yeah. And right now, all of a sudden, everybody wants to fight me. I didn't have one for the 4 fucking years previous. But now, Everybody wants to. I mean, when I said those fights, it was when I first went back. But full years had gone by in senior, I didn't get one. And that's what I mean. Everybody comes a tough guy. And me is one thing. They want to get me off because I can fight. So they're saying, get him out. And we don't want him fighting against us in the playoffs if it gets there. For a guy like you or Keith Delaney that doesn't do much fighting at all, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're coming straight at you.
Yeah, guys take liberties and there's no accountability.
And it's fucking horrible. And here they're putting in the rule to protect guys like you. When I say guys like you, I mean pure scorers that get brought in to do a thing. And it ends up hurting you. And people don't realize that. You need someone out there. It was far easier when Tristan Manson is out with you.
Yeah, what a tough character he was.
I'd feel more safe with him on my team, just like I did with Mick Vukota and Shane Corson and Darcy Tucker and whoever.
Yeah, and the utmost respect for the guys that do that, because that is not an easy thing to do. But it is a part of hockey, and it's part of what makes hockey great. And I love, circle back to Shoresy, how this show, it's a bit over the top with the comedy stuff, but a lot of times it's illustrating the good things about hockey. And part of that is the respect that players have for each other, and fighters and tough guys like pave the way for that respect to stay.
Yeah.
And
that's a great fucking way to put it. You know what? And I like that random thought. So I'm going to leave it. We have one more question I'm going to ask you, because I think that's a great note to end it on. All-time teams. So here's what's going to happen. In this hypothetical world, you get a team to beat mine, whoever it is. My team's not important. But you get to pick 5 players and a goalie. Now, it can't be Gretzky, Lemieux.
Okay, because they're the 2.
Yeah, 4. It can't be Gretzky, Lemieux, Gordie Howe, Bobby Orr. Okay, so there are 4 that it can't be. Or any Montreal Canadiens. Meaning Patrick Waugh, Rocket Richard, John Bellevoli, and a lot of people would go there. So no Montreal Canadiens, and those 4 I mentioned, the top 4 players ever. It can't be them. It can be anybody else. You got to pick 3 forwards, 2D, and a goalie. That's the way hockey works.
And like today's hockey.
Yeah, well, but we're going to say that all these players, today's ish, and all these players in a hypothetical world are 28. So you take Rocket Richard, or no, you can't take Rocket Richard. But
and no disrespect to the prior generations, because great players, but I didn't see them as much.
Yeah,
I would say Brodeur in net.
Yeah,
can't go wrong there. He's the 3rd defenseman.
Certainly can't. Yeah,
Nick Lidstrom,
D-man.
I
practiced with him for a full summer. I went to Vasteras, where he's from.
I bet you didn't get around him very often
to work at all. I went there to work on my skating, and it was him and Peter Popovich were from the same place. I'm in Montreal dressing room. The Habs would give us money to go wherever we wanted, and I needed to work on my skating.
Yeah,
but I like traveling, so I called Brad Brown, same thing. And Popovich he's like, I'm from Vasteras, Sweden, and Lidstrom practices with us, and we fucking sold the team on it, and we went over there and practiced with Lidstrom and the team, like the local team, which was Pro League over there, for the full summer. Anyway, it was fucking unreal.
He made the game look so easy.
So easy. I know that's what I said to people. I'm like, I can't explain it to you. Like, even if I look at Makar, like, you can tell that there's something good. But Lidstrom, he made it look like shinny, like every play. And he was so patient that it'd be like last minute. I'm going, like, we're going to take the puck off this guy.
So confident.
Yeah, it was incredible.
So, I think him. And then, I mean, you could go like Coffey or Bork. Am I allowed to use them?
Yeah.
And then in today's game, like, Makar is unbelievable. Yeah. But that being said,
you can take any of those are a good answer.
Yeah, I think we'll go.
Makar shoots right. The other one shot.
I mean, and Lidstrom, bit more stay at home, have Makar buzzing around. So I'll go with that. But shout out to Ray Bork and Paul Coffey in their prime for sure.
For sure, yeah. Any of those would be good picks. I like Makar because he shoots right and the others shoot left, and you can offset it.
I mean, and then you look at Sid. How can you not have Sid?
Yeah, I think he's the 5th best ever. But a lot of people would say Richard. There's a few, but on that list,
I'm generationally, I'm kind of sticking to like the here and now a bit.
Yeah. And it's tough to compare greatness, especially eras. So
the game's changed a lot for sure. Obviously Sid like 6 or 7 years ago, like the years they were winning the cup.
Dude, can you believe I knew he was doing well? I looked. He's 36. He's going to be 37 after Christmas. He's near the leaders again.
every year.
Again.
He's just like,
I went, what? At some point, my hat's off to you, Sid, but it's going to be a great year if you get 60 points. He's got 27 again already. Holy
he works
fuck.
hard. You never hear anything bad about him. Like he's
Yeah,
just
I
the
know.
consummate professional.
Yeah.
And he just brings it. He always brings it. Okay, so then McDavid. I mean, if we're talking,
Yeah, you can take
Generationally.
McDavid, and why wouldn't you? Yeah.
and then like,
And by the way, you can pick 3 forwards, 3 shoot left. They can be 3 centermen. Anybody can play wing.
I feel like Mark Messier in his
Yeah.
prime, when he was mean, or he's a captain New York, and he said they were going to win and got the hat trick. Like what
He
guy
even
can do
looks
that?
like a hockey. Like he is the pure hockey package, and even looks like it.
Yeah.
Like if there was one prototypical player ever that like plays like Messier, it's Messier.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Then so then you look at Ovi.
Yeah.
Like who else is ever going to come close to Gretzky's goals?
Incredible.
So how do you not? I mean, there's a lot of good players. If I was going to go a generation prior, I'd take Mass for sure. But like
Yeah.
Sid, Ovi, and McDavid.
and
Ovi,
then
I
with
feel like
Ovi,
a
you got your
couple
right
years
shot
ago.
again.
yeah.
The other 3 shoot left.
I feel like, those guys when they were 26, 27, 28, now they're getting a
Yeah.
little older in the
It's
hockey
actually
world.
amazing that they're still doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's really amazing that they are. That Ovi and Sid, they're in their late 30s now, and hockey's not easy on the body.
I played a couple years against Sid and Junior, and
Wow.
it was like unlike anything I had ever seen. He was he still is, but his skating and his like low center of gravity.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They would beat us. One game, I think we were in Rimouski. I was with Gatineau. They beat us 3-2. I think he had like
You can't push them off the puck. That's another thing that people who don't really follow it real close, I think, realize is how strong he is on the puck.
He's just strong,
But like in the
strong.
corners?
and not a big guy, but wide
Wide,
guy.
and the hockey. So to combine that with the hockey IQ that's off the charts makes for one dangerous hockey player.
And the work ethic.
Yeah, and the work ethic.
Like just
I tell you, last year, so I met him. I went down with Spit and Chicklets, and it was November, and we went down. So it was one of the first games of the year. We did like a live show at Carnegie Hall down there. So then they were like, "Oh, there's a game tomorrow. Biz is nice enough." He said, "You want to stay around? I'll get your flight on Monday instead of Sunday, whatever, and we'll go to the games." Perfect. So we went, and he goes, "We can definitely get in the room, but it's not going to be right after." So we waited. This is at least an hour. I'm thinking like closer to 2 hours after, and we got in to the dressing room.
I think I saw the clips
Yeah.
of this.
3 people left, first of all. It was only Petrie, Malkin, Crosby. And Malkin and Petrie were getting done their workout. And we waited. Crosby kept going. So here's 2 hours after the game in November. So he's working out. Gets off the bike, comes over, "Hey, guys." And we think he's done, and he starts fucking pumping iron. Now he's pumping iron.
Yeah.
Then, as we're talking, he goes, grabs a stick. And he's like, tape him one. And then he goes to the trainer. "Can you bring me another one?" And he cuts it off like maybe an inch up, and he's still experimenting. I'm going, fuck. He wants to stay at he wasn't doing it for our benefit.
Right.
He was fucking around with sticks and everything. Like,
It's amazing for me. Like you see what he does on the ice. We see him
Yeah.
on TV, but that shit behind the scenes.
yeah,
Like I think Pavel Datsuk, like Yager, the way he used to
Yager. I
train.
hear. Yeah,
Like
there was nobody at the
Nobody
rink now.
sees
There
that.
were rookies on the team.
and
There was
yeah.
nobody left.
Yeah, and that's why these guys are so friggin' good.
Yeah.
Because it's just next level. It's amazing to go out there, play 30 minutes, whatever it is for Sid in a game, plays in every situation, and then doing a workout for 2 hours after
I know, yeah.
in an 80-game season. It is
in November.
unbelievable.
It's fucking wild.
It's amazing. And
Okay.
you got to respect it. You just can't not.
Total respect. One of my favorite players ever. A lot of the players we mentioned are some of my favorite players ever, Canada or not. I always pump Canada on here, but Alex Ovechkin is one of my favorites ever for sure. And you mentioned Pavel Datsuk, and I think that he was one of the most beautiful players ever to watch, right? Lots of people land on the scoreboard. Lots of people are great leaders. Lots of people win cups. But to combine all those things together and watch that, that's what I love about hockey. The gracefulness that he can skate around and play with in such a physical league with boundaries, boards, and weapons,
And
and
Giants.
it's beautiful. Do you have anything else do you have anything to promote or anything before we go?
No, buddy. I'm just happy you had me on. This was super fun. we're deep into Shoresy season 3. So looking forward to another couple weeks of some hard work, and in a few months it'll come out, and hope everybody enjoys because we enjoy doing it. We really do. It's a great group here, and we're very fortunate to be a part of it.
We, for those that don't know, we're very aware of how lucky we are. We were just talking about it in the car pretty much every day. We're like, you know what? Let's go out and have a great day. Let's do a good job here because we're very, very fucking fortunate. Imagine just 7 or 8 years ago, we're skating around Newfoundland senior hockey. Had no idea we would end up in a place like this together on top of all that. So thank you for doing this.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you again, and we'll do it again in the future. Folks, this has been episode 180B of Tales with TR. If you're downtown St. John's and you want to have a beer, stop into one of my favorite spots. Here they are. Bull and Barrel, Turkey Joe's, TJ's Pub, Rob Roy Confusion, Martini Bar, Trinity Pub, and of course, Greensleeves. If you want to have a bite to eat, try out Merchant Tavern, Blue on Water, Wedgwood Cafe, and of course, Loose Tie. My ex, Penny Lane's mom, is running Loose Tie now at home, and it is an awesome place to eat. Downstairs is Greensleeves. Have a bite to eat upstairs, 5-star restaurant. Walk down over the stairs, watch Dave White, Damian Follett, Chris Ryan, one of a number of great local musicians at Loose Tie / Greensleeves. If you want to work out, change your life, Ryan Power Conditioning on Rope Walk Lane, strength and balance for the body and mind. If you want to go to Mr. Lube, 2 locations in St. John's, one's on Torbay Road, one's on Kenmount Road. Go see Chris Sparks at Mr. Lube. Live, laugh, lube. Pitbull Pain Relief, the pain sticks that just don't quit. PitbullPainRelief.com. Check it out. I swear by it. I use them every day. Go to PitbullPainRelief.com and see what all the fuss is about. And, of course, True Hockey. Take what's yours. To Corey Gregory and everybody else at True Hockey. Season 3 is going awesome. I really appreciate all the free gear. I absolutely love it. The sticks are my favorite I've ever used. And, folks, I'll be back in just a few days with more Tales with Tiara. This has been 180B with Cam Fergus. Thanks, Cam. Everybody else, I'll catch you on the rebound.